30 minutes late. Um, my apologies for that. I had an important meeting that I had to attend to. But yeah, enough of the apologies. Let's get to the fight. According to what I heard, Tatsuro Taira and Amir Albazi had been rumored to be cancelled, but so far I haven't seen anything confirmatory that indicates that what do you call it? This particular fight is cancelled. So because of that, I'm going to actually continue and proceed with actually breaking this fight down. Um, so yeah, Tatsuro Taira versus Amir Albazi. Renee the coin tosser. Wait, um, don't bother breaking this down. Why though? Renee the coin tosser. What happened? Um, Twizzy Rich said hi. What up, man? Renee the coin tosser. Tyra versus Park is the new main event. Oh shit. Oh damn. Okay. You know what? Let's actually do it. Let me see if I can't. Ah, damn. But this is gonna be tricky. I mean, it's doable, but it's gonna be tricky because I haven't done enough research to actually be able. Park. Oh snap! Where's Park? Is Park even booked on this? Was Park booked on this particular card before it was changed? Ah, damn, 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 damn. Come on. Let me see if maybe I can. Oh, damn. Is Park even ranked in the UFC? Okay. Uh, accessibility. Okay. Um, let me actually go to the. Let me actually go to the next fight then. I mean, because a part of me wanted to actually break this fight down right now, but I don't think it's a good idea to actually break this fight down without being adequately prepared. So let me go to the next fight. Um, Twizy Rich, zero chin, one pump, champ. Elijah Youngblood, what up, man? Park gonna knock Tyra out. Amir is out with an injury. Oh, okay. Renee the coin toss, a breakdown, a Tyra versus Park. Um, Elijah Youngblood Pizarro, yes, he was removed with Ursig. Oh, okay. Ah, damn. Let me actually see what I can do live. Okay. I'm going to disappear for a little bit. Being black is a lot of work, man. Um, let me see what I can do. Okay. I'm searching something, so my apologies for disappearing. I know I'm going to try to search for the new fight. Um, and see if I can't break that one down. All right, guys. I think I'm going to if I can't do this. Okay. Part. Oh man. No, I've always had this gold tooth, my guy. I've always had this gold tooth, so maybe you haven't noticed it, maybe, but I've always had this gold tooth. It's been ask Rene the coin tosser. He knows. Athlete. Which park? Let me see. I forgot his actual, like, his first name. Mm, Hyunsung Park, ne? Is it like, what up, man? Alma Logorian. Okay. I think let's try to break this fight down as best as I can. Because at this particular point in time, I'm unprepared. I'll just have to change the thumbnail of this particular fight. But yeah, I think maybe let's try to actually break this fight down. Whew. Okay. Tatsuro Taira versus, I think it's Hyunsung Park, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because the UFC has not updated, like, the UFC. The UFC have not updated their website, so it's kind of tricky to actually tell if this is actually happening or not. Anyway, Park won. Let me actually confirm. Yes, that guy, Tuesday Rich. I could KO Park. Come on. I mean, like, why are you begging on Park? I think Park is not that bad, man. Like, I think Park has three fights in the UFC. He's fought, who's this guy? Seoguk Choi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And then in the second, and he got a submission in the third round. Um, he then fought, what do you call him? Shannon Ross, and finished him in the second round. And then fought Carlos Hernandez, right? I don't know, man. I feel like the Carlos Hernandez fight, for me, was a little bit impressive because, irrespective of how you might feel about Carlos Hernandez, I genuinely think he's one of the more seasoned athletes in the UFC currently. He's good enough to stay in the UFC, and I think that's not. Um, Privith, what up, man? Welcome to the stream. Um, Elijah Youngblood, are you doing Rebecca versus Duncan? Yes, I'm going to do it after this one. I'm going to do Park versus Tyra, and then which is this one, and then once I'm done with this one, I'm then going to focus on the other three. Like there are two more breakdowns that I need to do. So in hindsight, okay, let's look at who Hernandez is a very seasoned fighter in the UFC, to be honest. Um, and I mean, I'm not doing MMA maths. Um, Privid, I'm trying to actually break down this particular fight. You know what? Let me go through this because there's so much new information that I have to go through now. So let me try to do this, and then I'll respond to everyone once I'm done. So I'm looking at Carlos Hernandez, right? Which is the one common opponent that Hyunsung Park and the Tatsuro Taira have in common, right? Hyunsung Park and Tatsuro Taira both finished Carlos Hernandez in the second round. So I don't know, man. I know that's MMA maths, but it took both of them 2 rounds to actually finish. What do you call him? Um, Carlos Hernandez. So I think maybe that might play some type of a role into how this fight plays out. But back to Hyunsung, but again Hyunsung Park. So even though he doesn't have that much what do you call it experience in the UFC, I think he is exceptionally good defensively. To be honest, um, maybe exceptional. I think maybe is a stretch, but he is pretty decent defensively. When it comes to striking and potentially offensively, even though he doesn't have that much volume, right? Um, I don't know, man. I feel like on the feet it's going to be a little bit tricky. But okay, let me actually do this. Uh, Bear with me, guys. I'm still I'm trying to break this fight down as I'm busy researching. Because obviously a couple of things have changed. So I just need to be sure about what I'm saying and not just say things that are just coming out of my butthole. So I just want to go through what the Tyra has accomplished. Why am I taking the long route though? Actually, there's an easier way to do this. Okay. Um, bear with me, bear with me. I'm almost there. So I think I was busy with Hyunsung Park. So now let me go to Tatsuro Taira. My internet is doing its own thing. So bear with me. I should have just ended the stream and just started anew. But okay, here we are. Okay. Uh, yeah. Let me actually break this fight down. This is gonna be very interesting, right? I'm surprised that a lot of my people in the comment section are trashing Park so much because when I look at this, I'm like, shit. Park has a better defense as far as wrestling goes. Um, Maybe it's the level of opposition that he's faced, but Park has a better takedown defense. I think Park has a bit more power. Um, I don't know. Maybe we're talking about someone different. I don't know, but based on what I'm looking at, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as, like, for example, I think Tweezy said something like he could knock out Park, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So first of all, I think what do you call him? Park is going to have a volume advantage. I think Park is going to be throwing a little bit more than Tatsuro Taira. That's number one. Number two, I think Park is going to have a bit of a striking, maybe not striking advantage, but I think he's going to have a little bit more power. I also think, even though he absorbs a lot, I think he is pretty decent defensively. I mean, Taira is good defensively, but I wouldn't say Park is horrible defensively as far as striking goes. So I'm struggling to understand why the view is that what do you call him? Park is chinny. Okay, I get that maybe in his previous fights he might not have looked his best, but I think this fight is gonna be a lot more competitive than um. Okay, maybe what you can do, guys. This is basically why I like breaking down these fights live. Tell me your reasons, right? Because based on what I'm looking at, I feel like Park is going to have the advantage as far as power. Park is going to have the advantage as far as volume. Defensively, Tatsuro Taira might be a little bit better, but it's just a little bit better. It's not significantly better. Tatsuro Taira is exceptional when it comes to grappling, but I saw a couple of holes when he lost to, what do you call him, Brendan Royval, right? And please do not misunderstand me. This is coming from someone who actually picked Tatsuro Taira to actually beat Brendan Royval. But in those scrambles against Brendan Royval, I saw a lot of holes in Tatsuro Taira's grappling, right? Especially his ability to keep position. I don't know if maybe it was because he was tired or Royval was hurting him. I don't know, but I saw a couple of holes, right? Which makes me feel like, and defensively, Tatsuro Taira is not good as far as defensive wrestling. Tatsuro Taira is not that great. He's very good offensively, not defensively. Um, so in this particular situation, I think Park will be able to keep it on the feet, right? I could be wrong, but Park will probably be able to keep it on the feet. Um, and if it stays on the feet, then you have to ask yourself: is Tatsuro Taira going to outstrike Park? Is that what you're saying, right? But on another hand, Tatsuro Taira might come in improved And actually, and please do not misunderstand. This is just a breakdown. I'm still yet to do an in-depth what do you call it, research. I might end up picking what do you call him, Tatsuro Taira, but I'm just, as always, I'm going to point out the flaws of both people, right? Especially if I see the flaws. If I don't see the flaws, then I mean I'm going to be like, I don't know. I don't know how this guy wins, which I normally say. But in this particular situation, I feel like there are a couple of flaws on Tatsuro Taira's side. He's not great defensively as far as wrestling goes. He is good defensively as far as striking goes, but I think that comes from his wrestling ability. So because people are afraid of him shooting and actually taking them down, it makes them reluctant to actually engage with the striking. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in this particular situation, but I think this fight might be a little bit more competitive, especially when you take into consideration the fact that um, Park is not coming in on short notice, right? He was scheduled to actually fight, so I would say Tatsuro Taira might have an advantage if Park wasn't scheduled to fight. So for me, I think this is going to be a competitive fight, especially because I genuinely felt like Park could actually keep it on the feet, and if he manages to keep it on the feet, because he has really good takedown defense, but at the same time, maybe he has good takedown defense because he hasn't fought the best grapplers yet, right? But still, he has pretty decent takedown defense. So if he can manage to avoid getting taken down by Tatsuro Taira, and if he doesn't get tired somehow, I think we're going to see an interesting fight here. And I'm in no way am I saying Tatsuro Taira is not good. I like I said, I might end up picking him. Obviously, the new information of the fights being changed, they just reached me. But as far as the fight goes, I think obviously offensively, I think Tatsuro Taira is going to have the advantage as far as grappling goes. Um, Defensively, I think Park is going to have the advantage. And if Park, who I think might be able to keep the fight on the feet, if he somehow manages to keep the fight on the feet, it's going to get very interesting because I think Park, with his volume, with his power, he might cause problems for Tyra. Um, there's no official pick because I just found out about this fight, so I'm going to have to change the thumbnail and the title of this particular video. But still, um, I like that. I think this breakdown was a little bit um, useful, even though it wasn't the normal way I do things. But yeah, in summary, I genuinely think defensively, Tyra is not that great, which is not good if you're going to actually be like. I always say I don't like wrestlers or grapplers who are not good defensively because it means they are open to being reversed. Like it's easier to reverse them, and we saw that in the fight with Brendan Royval. Like it was a little bit more challenging for him to deal with someone who has a basic understanding of how to scramble, right? And he ended up getting tired in that particular fight. Um, and then on the feed, Taira is better defensively, and ultimately that's it. Nothing beyond that, as far as I can tell. He is better. Definitely, he is better on the feed. Um, let me see something else. I think this is going to be the final element that's going to determine how I feel about this particular fight. Okay, I think there's another element that maybe I should be taken into consideration. Taira has a massive reach advantage. I think he has like a 4-inch reach advantage, which might influence the fight if it keeps standing on the feet. But once again, Taira is an exceptional grappler offensively. Defensively, he's not that great. So it comes down to, do you think Tyra is going to be able to take down Hyunsung Park? So far, I don't think anyone has been able to. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can correct me. But so far, I don't think anyone has been able to take Hyunsung Park down. And when we talk about who has a bit more power, um, I don't know, man. I'm leaning more towards what do you call him? Park as far as power goes. Let me see. Is there anywhere where I can see finishing rate? Wins by knockout. So does Hyunsung Park have like 90% finishing rate? No, that can't be. Um, Decision. Yeah, he has a 90% finishing rate. Wow, that's impressive. Let's see Tatsuro Taira. But obviously, I mean, the level of competition counts. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of people left. I guess they don't agree with the things that I'm saying. Let me respond to your comments. I know there's no official pick. You'll have to wait for the show to come out. I still have to do more research, but from what I'm looking at, I don't know, man. I think this might be a little bit more competitive than everyone is giving it credit for. So yeah, let me respond to you guys, even though a lot of you have left, but let me respond. Um, Tweezy Rich, Tyra gets a finish on Park. Okay. 0 inch, zero chin, one pump chump. Elijah Youngblood, Park gonna knock out Tyra. Park gonna knock Tyra out. You know what? Initially, I was doubting that, but I'm starting to feel like it might be possible. Renee the coin tosser, Amir is out with injury. Yeah, thank you for that. I actually didn't think the fight was going to change, and I just realized that it actually changed. Renee the coin tosser, breakdown. Tyra versus Park. Okay, I just did, my guy. Thank you. Elijah Youngblood, yes, he was removed with ESEC. Okay, shout out to you for that. Elijah Youngblood was supposed to be Um, in Hernandez versus Dolita card. Oh yeah, 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 that's true. Elijah Youngblood, Pizarro is that a new gold tooth? No. Alma, sub, what up, man? Renee the coin tosser, yes, that guy. Tweezy Rich, I could KO Park. Tweezy hates Park. I don't know what happened. Elijah Youngblood. Are you doing the Becky versus Duncan? Yeah. After I'm done here, I'm Privith. Yo, what up, man? Welcome to the stream, Tuesday Rich. He got knocked down in literally 30 seconds, 30 seconds by an Asian, by a Asian can, and a second fight. You know, though he got almost KO'd by a random Shannon Ross. Hernandez was a solid, but he clearly shit the bed in my opinion. Okay. Privet, what's good, bro? Nothing much, man. Welcome to the stream, man. It's always nice to see familiar names in the comment section. My watch along buddies. Rene, Rene the robber. What do you mean, Rene? Hey, Rene the raider did not rob anyone. I didn't actually see that you changed your name. Rene did not rob anyone, man. Carlos Hernandez has decent defensive grappling. That was impressive for Park to easily sub him. Yeah, that's true. Renee the coin tosser. Tyra kind of struggled with Hernandez. Yeah, that's true. Twizy Rich. Do y'all think Park can sub Tyra though? I don't know. I think Park might have a shot on the feet. I don't know about the ground though. Cause what else has he shown? Just a KO over Ross, who is a victim on the feet by anyone. Remember coin toss. Wait, I got mixed up with Carlos Hernandez and Edgar Chairez, bro. Um, Tyra smoked Hernandez. Okay. Tuesday Rich. Yeah, LOL knocked him out. Yeah, in the second round, both of them, but it took them both 2 rounds for both of them to actually finish Hernandez. Renee the coin tosser. I'm cooked, dog. What do you mean? I'm Tuesday Rich. And it's 5 rounds. Okay, Renee the coin tosser. Tyra has more experience at a higher level. That's fact, right? That's going to play a role in who I end up picking. Renee the robber. I don't like that name. I'm gonna pick Tyra. He should be like a -400 favorite, I think. Yeah, Elijah Youngblood, Park winning. Highly possible, Twizy Rich. I can. Twizy Rich, I'm sure Taira had amazing stats when he fought Cans. It's not just about stats, right? I try to remember the performances in my head, but like I said, there's a little bit more research that I would need to do in order for me to have a better understanding um, of who I'm going to pick, right? So at this point, it's kind of hard to actually make um, a decision as far as who I'm going with because I haven't done enough research. And I always say that even if you say someone might have better stats because they are fighting Kangs, how many people have we said that about? So, for example, who's this guy? Just that these names are just running away from my mind. For me personally, it depends what you're doing to those cans, right? And if you're going to call Carlos Hernandez a can, I mean Tatsuro Taira actually fought that can as well. And both of them, it took both of them to actually finish Carlos Hernandez. It took them 2 rounds for both of them to finish Carlos Hernandez. So if you're going to say um, Hyunsung Park is busy fighting cans and all these type of things, it's not even MMA match. We're just basically comparing how both of them did against a similar and a common opponent. I don't think it's actually fair to say, oh, the other guy has been fighting cans. When Tatsuro Taira, it took more or less the same amount of time for him to actually finish Hernandez as Park. So for me personally, I don't necessarily agree with that argument. If you want to say Tatsuro Taira has been fighting better competition and he has top level experience, I'm not even going to dispute that. I'm going to accept that. But I'm not gonna agree with the idea that Park looks better because he's fighting cans. Potentially, but it doesn't mean he's not good, right? Because ultimately we can make that argument about anyone, right? We can make that argument about Ateba Gutierrez, right? Ateba Gutierrez is fighting cans, that's why it looks good. We could have made that argument about Hamza Chimaev. A lot of people were making that argument about Habib Nurmagomedov. Oh, he's fighting cans, that's why he's having the success he's having. They were doing the same thing with, what do you call him? Islam Makhachev, right? So until that person gets the opportunity to actually show that are they actually talented or not, I only my only problem is if you are fighting lower ranked fighters and you're taking them to a decision, that's the problem I have, right? But if you are actually finishing these people, then for me that's enough. Because if you want to be at the top of the division, you can't be going to decisions with people who are not even ranked. So for me, Hyunsung Park's performances so far, I think he's had all finishes in the UFC so far. You can decide to ignore the first two fights in the UFC, but I think that Carlos Hernandez is a pretty decent win. And once again, I will emphasize the fact that it took both of them 2 rounds to actually finish Hernandez. So if Johnson Park is a can, then Tyler is a can because it took him the same amount of time that it took Park to actually finish um, Carlos Hernandez, right? And I get that. For me, it's just that's the only common opponent they have. So I'm not I don't I generally am not going to accept the idea that Park is a can purely because he got dropped by someone he shouldn't have gotten dropped by. I mean, we might as well then call Islam Makhachev a can because the guy who knocked him out has never even been a champion in the UFC. He's no longer even in the UFC, right? So I'm not going to take that too much into consideration. The fact is, he's finished everyone is fought in the UFC. The common opponent that he has with Tatsuro Taira It took both of them 2 rounds to finish him. So for me, that's good enough, right? I mean, I can't punish him for not having higher ranked competition. This is the first time he's having higher ranked competition. It's on short notice. Maybe it might work in it. It might not work in his favor, but I don't know, man. For example, look at another example is Joshua Van. Kind of who did is it? Was it Jose Johnson? Joshua Van lost to I think it was Jose. I'm not sure if it was Jose Johnson or something like that. Um, but at this point, Joshua Van is now. I genuinely think he probably beats Pantoja. So I'm not going to be too hard on Joshua Van because he lost to someone who was Jose Johnson even ranked. I can't remember the name of the guy that beat Joshua Van. I think it was Jose Johnson. Something Johnson. I can't remember his name. So should I then say, oh, Joshua Van is a can because he lost to some dude who is not even ranked? I don't even know if he's ranked yet. So for me, that's kind of difficult to actually accept as an argument to say, well, because he was dropped by this guy, then it means he's not. And I know that Jose Johnson or whoever his name is, I forgot who's this guy's name is. I know that he's not necessarily a can, but still, if we are going to judge someone based off of like some few errors or one performance, then I don't know, man. I get that you say even in his next fight, like his first 2 fights in the UFC, he got dropped and everything like that. Ultimately, he found a way to actually win. Charles Oliveira was the champion, got in trouble a lot of the time when he was the champion, right? But he still won. His record says he's the most prolific finisher in the UFC right now. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to be too hard on Park because he was dropped. If that's the logic, then I should have the same energy towards Joshua Van. All because of that one loss, then I don't think he can amount to anything. So that's my view on that particular topic. Um, Another coin tosser. Taira went to war with Brendan Revar in his last fight. Facing lots of adversity and exhausting scrambles. I get that. Renier the robber can't pick Park. Fair. Renier the robber, undefeated fighters also usually come back humbled and better after their first L. That's true. Elijah Youngblood, the Park is gonna cook. I truly believe I'm not going to be too much on Park because I need to do my own analysis. I might end up picking Tyra. I'm just saying I don't agree with the view that Park is this can that Tyra is going to just run through. Kick him in the head, MMA podcast. Smash the like button. Thank you, my guy. Albazi with the hands. Albazi is off the card, man. It's now Park versus Tyra. Rene the robber. I don't really see any flaws in Park, other than the fact that he's fought cans. Okay, cool. Rene the robber. Higher competition will expose holes in your game. Okay, fair. Tizzy Rich. I honestly think Tyra can chin him. That's fair. I mean, we still have to wait and see on that one, but it's possible. Kick him in the head. MMA podcast. I like Park for this fight. I mean, you know what? I might end up picking Tyra, but I don't like the fact that everyone all of a sudden because Park was dropped, then all of a sudden he's trash, right? I don't agree with that. Even if I pick Tatsuro Taira, I don't think it's gonna be an easy fight for Tyra. In all honesty, if he gets in there and just knocks him out in the first round, shout out to Tyra. He will have proven me wrong. But at this particular point in time, I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, because Park was dropped in his first 2 fights in the UFC, that means he's a can, or rather he's been fighting cans. Well, maybe that's true, but I mean, with the exclusion of Carlos Hernandez. Um, Kick him in the head, the MMA podcast. The Taira doesn't have hands though. Yeah, that's what I've been saying, and that was my argument and my analysis. That cool. Um, on the ground, sure, Taira is better, but on the feet, I'm not so confident. Right, I'm not so confident in Taira. Taira does not have the best hands. Um, Tuesday Rich, only time I've seen Park look that decent on the feet is Shannon Ross. Okay, fair. Tuesday Rich, rival with John Park in my opinion, but we'll see. Okay, that's fair. Kick him in the head. MMA podcast. Rival messed up against Van. He shouldn't have made it a boxing match. More grappling would have helped. Yeah, that's a separate argument. Twizy Rich, watch his fights with Kyuram and Choi. Okay. Drizzy Gold, what's good, Gorilla? Wow. You look like Derek Lewis's cousin. Albazi thinks Asian beat him. Wow. I don't know how to. Um, Twizy Rich, Drizzy fight is off. What's the new fight? LOL, Tracer's card anyway. I agree. Elijah Youngblood. Renan Barrow had a padded record. After TJ, he wasn't the same. Okay. Twizy Rage, of course, but I don't see great fighters getting chinned by randoms. That's a fair point. So it's Charles. So is Charles better than Habib because he finished common opponents earlier? That's a good question. But was that my argument though? Because my argument wasn't that wasn't that what do you call him? Park is better because he finished fights. He, that was my argument was if it took both of them 2 rounds because my argument is that but again Park is not bad, right? That was my defense to say if Park is that bad, then why did it take him the same amount of time as the guy who's considered great? My argument in this particular situation, I feel like both prime Charles Oliveira and prime Habib Nurmagomedov, if they both fought, I don't know to be honest, but I think Habib Nurmagomedov probably would have won because I always value wrestling over jiu-jitsu, right? And we saw that with when he fought Aman Sarukian. We saw that when he fought. Okay, even though there wasn't that much grappling against Islam Makhachev, I always value wrestling over jiu-jitsu. So because of that, I think I would have leaned towards Habib Nurmagomedov. But Habib Nurmagomedov, the vast majority of his career, maybe I'm not remembering it properly. He had a lot of decisions, right? So ultimately, it's my argument wasn't to say, oh, this guy finished this guy faster, so it means he must be better. My argument was to say you can't say this guy is horrible, because they both it took them both the same amount of time to finish a common opponent. So my argument was to say both of them are pretty decent, just that the other guy is inexperienced. That was my argument. I wasn't saying, well, this guy, and I don't even know if Park finished Carlos Hernandez faster than Tatsuro Taira. That's not what I was saying. My point was to say, if it took both of them 2 rounds to finish Carlos Hernandez, then Park is not that bad because it took him the same amount of time that it took um, Taira to finish Carlos Hernandez, right? So once again, I'm not saying Tyra is crap or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying. I might end up picking Tyra in this particular fight. What I'm saying is I don't think Park is trash. That's all I'm saying. That's my argument. To Rich, going to decision isn't what makes a fighter bad. Marab is pound for pound. 100%. Or, Rich, if you're still online, remind me what was my argument. I think I didn't have a problem with going to decision though, right? Or did I say something contrary? Maybe I forgot. Please remind me. What did I say in relation to decision? Because I hear you saying that a decision isn't what makes a fighter bad. Tuesday Richard. I had Joshua Van. Okay. Tuesday Rich, you were saying that Tyra is also a can because it took the same. Yeah, I mean, what I was saying was if Pog is a can, then it means Tyra is a can. Like because it took both of them the same amount of time to finish a common opponent. Like if anyone was to say, well, Habib is a can, then I would make the argument that well, if everyone who has fought Dustin Poirier and it took them a certain period of time, then they are also cans. My point was to say you can't say one guy is a can or has been fighting cans. Maybe you can make the argument for the first two fights, but you can't say one guy is a can and the other one is not when they have a common opponent who it took them an equal amount of time to actually finish. So that was basically my argument. It wasn't to say Tyra is a can. I'm just saying based off of your argument, then we should be putting Tyra in the same box. Because then if Park is a can for his performance against Carlos Hernandez, then what does that make Tyra, right? That was my argument. I wasn't saying Tyra is a can. I was just saying if we're going to call Park a can, then we should apply the same logic to Tyra because it took him 2 rounds similar to Park to actually finish Carlos Hernandez. And once again, I know that this is MMA match. It's not even MMA match. It's just comparing their performances against a common opponent. And my thing is, there's nothing else to use as a measuring stick except a common opponent in this particular situation. Um, Twizy Rich, I feel like Oliveira to contend on the bottom. Yeah, Twizy Rich. Fair point though. Shout out, man. Twizy Rich. Can't you say that with any old Mirab opponent? I don't understand. Can I say what? Can you please elaborate a little bit? Tuesday Rich, yes, MMA is confusing. Yeah, very confusing, man. Um, what do you mean? Can't I say that with any old Mirab opponent? That they are not bad because they have faster finishes. No, the argument. If I was to make that argument, I would say, well, whoever has beaten, like for example, let's say who are the two people who've beaten Marab? Just that nothing comes to my mind, but the comparison would be, let's say for example, Ricky Simone and who else? Maybe if we were comparing people, two people who fought Marab. Yeah, it's Simone. Give me another name. So yeah, that's kind of difficult. I don't know. I'm not even going to lie. Who's science? But the argument would be that if we are going to say, uh, Twizy Rich, yeah, it was a science. What a random. But yeah, my argument was to say we can't call one guy if they've beat the same guy. We can't go one guy can and then not say that about the other guy, especially when the other guy hasn't gotten the opportunity to prove himself. Maybe Park is a can. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong, and maybe Park is going to come in there and get knocked out. Who knows, right? And maybe Tweezy will be like, "Yeah, I told you he's a can." But for me, at this particular point in time, and I think it has burned me a lot of times for me to say, well, because he got dropped in his first two fights by people that I don't know, then or other people that are not particularly good, then it means he's a can. especially when I feel like his performance against Hernandez was pretty decent, right? So at this particular point in time, all I can go off of is his last fight, and his last fight was a pretty decent competition, and I can only at this point in time. There's no more information about Park. The only information that's available is that he was able to perform more or less on the same level as Taira against a similar opponent. That doesn't mean Park is going to do significantly better. And I will reiterate that I might end up picking Taira, but I'm not going to be among the people who are like, nah, Tyra's going to run through this guy. I don't believe that. I don't believe, especially if Hyunsung Park can keep the fight on the feet. Tyra, I don't think is particularly that great on the feet as far as striking goes. I think he needs to wrestle. Maybe his striking might improve, but we'll see. We'll see. I have to do my analysis and decide who I'm going with. But for me at this stage, I'm not going to look at Park's inexperience and say, well, he's going to get the run through. That might not happen. He might shock the living crap out of everyone. But yeah, that's mine. I didn't think this would take this long. 46 minutes. Oh, damn. Um, so yeah, to the rich, it's just like if I saw Park go longer and saw more of him, I feel like I'd believe in him more. I'm kind of concerned that he finished faster than gets thrown into his first top fiver. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I might end up going with Tyra because of the lack of experience. I feel like they should have brought him up the way they did with Tyra. Give him a couple of ranked opponents before he gets into the top five. I sincerely agree with that. That's one of the things that are going to influence my decision as far as who to pick. But yeah, I think experience is going to play a significant role in this particular fight. Oof, I got five. I got two more fights to go through. Um, I'll be back, guys. There's one more fight. There's two more fights that I have to do. Today. I'm Tuesday Rich, but yeah, I mean Park looked good for sure. Yeah. So and I can only go off of that. Um, but we'll see. We'll see who I pick in this particular fight. Shout out to you, Twizzy. This is why I do the predictions live. Um, you question my view on a fight, and I have to justify it. And you justified your position, and ultimately, I think it makes for a better breakdown video because if someone is going to watch this video later, I think they are going to get a lot more information in this particular video because there was someone who disagreed with my view. And because of that, I had to justify why I feel that way. Um, so shout out to you, man. I always encourage everyone. Disagree with don't just accept what I'm saying. Have your stance. It makes for a better breakdown video. To the rich, it makes us better. I feel like yeah. I think it also makes me actually both of us better as far even as far as analyzing fights and deciding who to pick because there are things that you argue that I'm like, oh, I didn't see it that way. And then when I make certain arguments, you could be like, okay, I didn't see it that way. And ultimately, that information becomes one, and then it helps us in future as far as analysis goes. And even breakdowns, my breakdowns get better because like there's a bit of pushback. So shout out to you for that, man. Um, I have to go to the next fight. There might be maybe a 5 minute delay, but I'm going to break down the remaining two fights. The next fight is Rebecca versus Chris Duncan. I love and appreciate all of you. Until then, deuces.